Check, 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 1, 2. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Tonight, of course, guys, welcome back. Season 2, we are joining us tonight on Hot Topics Celeb TV Live.com. Don't forget, of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, Hot Topics CelebTV.com. Tonight, special guest joining us in the building, international dance choreographer, Chelsea Davolos. You guys may have seen her performing live with groups like Fifth Harmony, Kelly Clarkson, Anne-Marie, or you may have seen her in the latest Sports Check commercial. She'll be joining us tonight on Hot Topics CelebTV.com for Season 2. Don't forget, of course, this Sunday we return for the return of Sunday service with the Actors on Actors series. Will be joining us, my co-host tonight. On Sunday will be Shane Johnson. As you guys know him as Cooper Sachs from the Power series, and we were having a bunch of special guests popping into the room to have a conversation. And you guys want to know how to get into the filmmaking, television, acting industry, do not miss this episode this Sunday. Tonight, as you know, it is Season 2, and we welcome you guys back. I want to thank you guys for being patient with us. As you guys may know, our main account, Hot Topics Celeb TV, was hacked earlier today, and we will be hopefully getting it back if we can get through to Instagram. But for now, you guys can get all your updates on Hot Topics Celeb TV podcast. Tonight, I'm going to welcome my special guest in the building tonight, joining us. Also, don't forget, if you have questions, make sure you find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and make sure you go to the website at HotTopicsCelebTV.com. If you want to join in for the call-in show tonight, make sure you leave your message on Hot Topics Celeb TV podcast. Make sure you're following both accounts. Tonight is a special edition because we are back again, as you guys know, for Season 2. Joining us in the building tonight, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Vancouver, BC. She is an international dance choreographer who has performed with the likes of Fifth Harmony, Anne-Marie. You might have seen her in the latest Sports Check commercial. She is changing the game, ladies and gentlemen, for the dance scene in Canada. I want to welcome, ladies. Give her a big round of applause if you guys are just tuning in tonight. The beautiful, the sexy, the oh-so talented, the oh-so incredible, Miss Chelsea Davolos. Welcome to Hot Topics CelebTV.com. I'm your host, D-TEFLON on the MIC. Welcome. Thank
you. That introduction was like everything. I'm just going to turn my volume up, make sure I can hear everything. That was lovely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. How have you been holding up, my friend? How have you been holding up throughout this crazy pandemic?
I mean, you know what? Just adapting. That's it. Just adapting every day. Literally today in BC, there was just an announcement that like everything is changing for the better. But like, again, today. So it's like a whole nother chapter of like, okay, now what to do? Go left, go right. So I've been on my toes for sure.
Well, the question, obviously, we're going to get into that hot topic later in regards to, in the sense of what's going on in the world right now, especially in Canada. But for you, I want to take you back to the beginning. So first, I want you to introduce yourself for the new audience that aren't familiar with you. What's your name, where you're from, and then we're going to go from there.
What is up, everybody? My name is Chelsea Davolos. I was born in Vancouver, BC, but I moved across Canada, all around Canada. But I'm back in Vancouver. I'm a professional dancer, choreographer, mentor to many, many people, many women specifically. And I'm just here to inspire. That's it. That's what I'm here for.
So everybody has their story. Me, myself, as you may know, was an ex-dancer and choreographer myself. And everyone has their journey of how they either stumbled into the business or whether it was a passion or something they were doing as a kid. For you, how did you get into the dance world, and when did you realize that you had a passion for this?
So I always liked dancing when I was little. I did like 1 year of ballet when you're like 5 years old kind of thing. And then I was out of it. Like my parents put me in and came out. But, I wanted to get into dance around 10 or 11. I actually got into taking dance classes. I really wanted to. I used to put on little dance shows with like my brothers and sisters. And I just loved it. I knew I loved it different than other kids because like I took it so much more seriously. And I just wanted to keep doing it versus other kids would miss classes and not be there. And I was like, I don't understand why you would miss a class. Like, I just loved it so much, but I didn't know what that was. Obviously at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, I still didn't know what that love was, but I just knew I was so committed to it and nothing made me happier nothing than immersing myself into whatever I could, like dance related. I didn't do many classes for most of my life though. I really just took hip hop classes in a studio until I graduated at 17 from a dance studio. And then joined a hip hop crew in Vancouver, like hip hop crew / training company. We performed in the States and here. And I was a hip hop dancer only for many, many years. And then I turned, 19 and I was like, oh, there's a Pussycat Doll group. I've never done like a sexy thing. So I tried a Pussycat Doll group here in Vancouver. And then from there, I got hired to do a burlesque company, professional performer. So not training anymore, but actually just performing. And I mean, you put me in fishnets at 19 years old. It was like the rest is history. You know what I mean?
Did you ever, I mean, like for you, like I started off as a go-go dancer. That was how I started off in the game, and literally was, doing the whole podium thing, and then eventually got noticed, and that's a whole other story in itself. But for you, like making that transition from, because I mean, I know, of course, as well, like in the hip hop dance world, the freedom of expression, through your art, because you know what, it's like when you're an artist per se, as a hip hop artist, as a freestyle hip hop dancer, you can sort of come up with your own styles, and sometimes things that sort of just happen where you're like, wait a minute, did I just do that? And then you suddenly do it again, and then you suddenly do it again, and before you know it, like it becomes part of your routine where you do something that nobody else can do. But then having to transition per se into the technical aspect of learning the game on a choreographic standpoint, what did you find the challenges between the two?
I mean, that's a great question, because you're right. Hip hop definitely has a very like expansive freedom in movement, where dancing in heels specifically, there's ballet technique behind it. And I didn't come from a technical background. I never trained in jazz and ballet and all these types of styles. So, but when I started training in heels, I found something that I hadn't felt before. And at that time, there wasn't really heels training. Like we weren't doing like across the floor technique. Like now heels training is like, you're literally doing like ballet training in heels. Like it's wild and it's so incredible. But when I started that, it was just, sometimes I don't like this answer when I say it, because people are like, oh, you suck. But it kind of came naturally for me. And I know like some people are like, damn it. It kind of came naturally going into heels.
But you know what, as a dancer, I think everyone sort of it becomes naturally. Just like we sort of naturally learned how to first crawl, then we naturally learned how to walk, then we naturally learned how to somewhat maybe have some rhythm, and then before you know it, it was dancing. I mean, I've always said, to me, like as a dancer, dance is, I don't really think there's categories, but I believe that everyone has a dancer in them. It's just some people are afraid to express that dance for other people to see. So for you, like, what was it something where, did you instantly, as you said, like, you didn't have any formal training? When did you ever have somebody like either encourage you or say, you know what, hey, you got some talent, maybe you should, or was it something that you were like, I'm just going to do it and make my own path with it?
So when I went from hip hop and I transitioned into doing like a heels type group, I had somebody, this lady's name is Lee Torlage, and she ran the Candy Girl Cabaret here in Vancouver many, many years ago. And she saw me in my training program and was like, I'd like to hire you as one of my actual dancers. Okay. So if it wasn't for her, like, I don't know where I'd be, because she took me from a training group into performing. So she was just teaching me the art of seduction through actual booking me for jobs. So I was right onto the job instead of all these training courses. Like I train more now as a professional dancer than I ever did starting out, which is wild to think about. But so she pulled me in, taught me what I needed to know in terms of like, but I found my home in my underwear, really, which is wild, because I had so many, I was always a hip hop dancer, right? Sweatsuits, like I'm literally wearing a sweatsuit. I wear sweatsuits 24/7, but as soon as I put on like these outfits, it's just, I felt at home. And then, so she brought me into her professional group, and I just felt so alive in that style of dance.
So like for you, like growing up, like was there ever somebody that inspired you that like the first time you saw them dance where you were like, you know what, this is somebody that I look up to, or somebody that, everyone has their inspiration when they get it from someone. Was that the story for you? Did you have somebody that you, saw on TV that made you go, wow, I think I want to do that?
So funny enough, like Britney Spears has been my like idol always, like her dancing and everything. And I used to dance around my room to her music. And then the movie Honey is my favorite movie with Jessica Alba. And then seeing Jessica Alba, whether she was a dancer or not, to me, she was. That's who she was. She was real life to me. So seeing Jessica
My boy
Alba,
Sean Desmond was in that. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband's my husband's best friend, right? He toured with him for a long time. And so anyway, seeing Jessica Alba in her sneakers and be like sexy, but still badass. I loved that. I just loved it so much. And then Britney Spears, oh my God, with her sexiness, like combine those two. And that's really who I followed. And then there's one other person, sadly, she passed away at 17 years old, but I was a lot younger than her. And so when I was in like, 12, 13, I used to idolize this one girl. She was a dancer and she just had this like essence about her. And she was, again, only 17, but to me, she seemed like, 30 years old. And I just used to love the way that she, like, dance was everything to her. I saw her in high school, but she was between dance classes and everything. And I was like, I want that for myself. And when I went back to my childhood and did some journaling, I realized that all the people that I admired in terms of like fellow, students or movies, it was all these women who were confident and they were dancers. So the short answer is Britney Spears and Jessica Alba were my people.
So for you, like, I mean, I know that you've worked with some great top professionals in the industry. What would you say for you has been your highlight moment in your career since you started?
Well, so dancing at the Much Music Video Awards was like definitely the highlight for me, especially and Sport Check, but specifically the Much Music Video Awards, but more so than just because it was really cool and it's Much Music and Fifth Harmony, but more than that, because when I was younger living in Vancouver, to me, the Much Music Video Awards were like the be all end all. Like they were like the Grammys. Like they were like the biggest thing in my world, right? And I didn't know that it was even ever attainable. And I literally found a post from so many years ago being like, my main goals in life. And the one was the Much Music Video Awards. So I always used to say to my mom, like, if I ever get on the stage at the Much Music Video Awards, like I've made it. And then I did it. And I was like, it was so, I could like cry thinking about how that was like my biggest dream. And I can't believe I did it. And to a lot of people, it wasn't even that big of a job. But to me, it was like everything because of what it symbolized. It symbolized this like little girl that had a dream. And then now I've leveled up my dreams. You know what I mean? But
of course. I mean, I think everybody, when you get into this business, I mean, I've been in it now 26 years and, people are like, oh, you've done everything. You've been on the Golden Globes, you've been on the Oscars, and you've been, the Emmys. And I'm like, yeah, it's great being there in the sense of working wise. But once you're there, it's like, okay, the next goal should be, well, I want to be there, but accepting an award, not just showing up and being at that space around. Yes, it's great. It's a great energy. But to me, I think people, a lot of times, I think in the business is, where they reach that pinnacle and then they're like, okay, well, that's it. And to me, it's like, you've always got to be striving for more and more and more. If this is truly what you are passionate about, it's about, as you say, to keep leveling up and finding new things to add on to your resume. So like for you, like after achieving that, and achieving that accomplishment, where did that help your career project forward, or did it take a little bit while before you to get to that next level?
No, I felt like one of the reasons why that job was so important to me is because I felt like if I could get on a big enough stage, I feel like I could inspire people to go, if she can do it, I can do it. So that's why I strive to want to be on the biggest stages possible, so that, of course, for the feeling and accomplishment, but also so that I can inspire people to look at me and go, she never gave up, so maybe I won't give up. You know what I mean? And so when I did the Much Music Video Awards, I didn't just get one artist, I got two. And then that year, and then I got to do it a second time, which was crazy. But it definitely like boosted my career for sure. I got to work with really just different professionals, American artists, which I hadn't at that point worked for any American artists, I don't think. So big American artists, just a different experience. And it gave me a different level of experience and knowledge to share with people. And it made me way more hungry. I feel like I climbed, and when I got to what I thought was the top, I got there and I realized there's a whole new world up here, and I was ready for it, So it wasn't like I got there and plateaued. It's like I got there, realized there's another level and another level. And so it really just made me that much more hungry and more excited.
What would you say, though, for you, like in your story career of dancing, what would you say you have found your biggest challenge?
I've been my biggest challenge.
In what way?
I've dealt with a lot of like, I was always just really hard on myself, and like, which we all are. So what I'm about to say is not going to be any shocker to a lot of people. But I was very, what I realize now is very like imposterous thoughts of like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not this, maybe I'm not that. So what I did for many years of my life was I stayed within a bubble of only things I knew I would be really good at. So I protected myself by not stepping outside the box and trying new things, going to auditions, submitting for different jobs, and just saying, who knows what will happen? Like, I kept myself very much so in a small box of like, I know I'll be good at these jobs or this, whatever, so I'm going to stay here. And so I don't regret anything. I think I am where I'm supposed to be. But that is definitely something that was challenging for me, was my own thoughts and my own fears and my own insecurities. They definitely held me back a lot from trying new things, or just putting myself out there in new ways, trusting myself, you know, so it was confidence, self-esteem. It was a lot of that, and not sharing that with anybody, holding it in, not telling people like I'm insecure, or, you know, I didn't talk about those things. I just kept them all in and tried to stay like I knew what I was doing, you know, but so I'd say I definitely got in my own way a lot, but that's very common, obviously.
Well, I think the thing is, and when it comes down to it, in a sense, number one is that like I find a lot of people, which I've never really understood, who get into the entertainment business, have a hard time with self-promotion. And I'm like, you should be your biggest cheerleader, like before anybody. Like you should celebrate every win that you have and tell people about it, you know, and let people know, hey, this is what I've done. Like this is because, again, at the end of the day, when someone says, as you said, you know, you want to inspire people, what's the biggest inspiration? By literally telling people like, look, like I did this, and I didn't come from, whether you came from wealth, didn't come from wealth, whether you came from poverty, whatever your situation was, but you're showing people that like it starts. And I always try to use the example. Think about the person who opened up McDonald's. The very first time that thought came into their head, they said, I want to open up a McDonald's. And they bought the building, but it was just a building. But they said, okay, you know what we need to do here to get this thing going? So they made a cheeseburger. And they sold that first cheeseburger. And they sold another one. And they sold another one. Before you know it, they sold a billion. But then once that first cheeseburger went through, they're like, oh, we need to make a Big Mac. And they continue to keep adding on to that recipe. So I always believe, like, when you're in the entertainment business, it's about adding on to that recipe. So, like, for you, as you said, like, having that self-doubt, was it more self-doubt, or was it more lack of self-promotion that was holding you back, you feel?
I believe it was not self-promotion. I just don't believe at that age I knew what to do. I just didn't know how to promote myself. It was lack of knowledge. It was lack of experience. I didn't have the voice I have now, right? I believe for me, not everybody, there's 17-year-olds that know exactly how to promote themselves, right? Like that are very aware. But I feel like I personally needed to go through the trials, tribulations, insecurities, not having a voice, learning to have a voice, unsure what this voice could be used for. Like, I feel like I needed to go through all of that to learn how, and also values, right? Like, I didn't know what my boundaries and values and my morals were. And I had to go through a lot to figure out what those were. And now that I feel like I'm more aware, now I'm not just now as in like this year, but like the last few years of my life, I would say, when I started doing my company, let's say 5-6 years ago, but even then, like, I've just grown so much more. So for me, it was experience.
Okay.
I needed experience. So it wasn't self-promotion. It was, I mean, I used to, not a lot of people know I was insecure. Like, I used to make flyers and go and pass flyers out to get people into my classes. Like, I was a go-getter for sure. That's how I've gotten here, is I've been a go-getter. But I also, within being a go-getter, I was just more of a go-getter than your average person, but I still held back a lot and only kept myself doing things I knew I would be good at.
Which is surprising to me.
Insecure.
It's surprising because when I see your energy all the time and how you're just, like I always say, you're like a bee, just moving around like on every level. Like, to me, just to hear that you had any insecurities or any, in a sense, of self-doubt. So how did you I mean, what made you, or how did you find a way to push through that?
I just wanted to feel different. Like I knew the thing is I think a lot of people, once you become self-aware of you have a feeling
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
what are you going to do about it? You know, and a lot of people they assume their feelings and their experiences are the only factual thing that they can live within, but we can change anything we want. And I was so much this way of like insecure, unsure, but a part of me was like, I have so much more to offer. I knew I did. I knew
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't on my abilities. I knew I could do more, but there was this wall of just emotions and insecurities and traumas and all these things. And it was either stop dancing so you don't have to face those things and you can just be whomever you want to be and live in a box,
Mm-hmm.
or face them, work on them, get messy, admit your faults, admit your wrongs, see where we're at, put yourself out there, say fuck it. Like I just really had to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And now at 32, there's a lot of people that would be like, you were insecure, or you know, and granted, we all still go through our ups and downs with self-esteem, but I feel like it just was maturity and also making the conscious choice that if I want to be in this industry, I really have to work on myself because
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough one to be in. You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
it's an industry that you have to understand. It's an industry that we hear the word no more than anybody other industry. It's an industry that's full of rejection. It's a full of industry that's what I always say. You know, this business can give you everything, but it can take away just as quickly. Like
yeah,
you can be on a high and everything's going great, but when you get to that top level, everyone either coming at you to knock you off that pedestal, or they just clap as you fall down, and they don't even want to help you up. And it's
exactly.
like you have to. I always say like the industry when it comes to the entertainment game, it's 40%. I would say 40% doing the work in the sense of talent wise. The other like 30% per se is like, you know, actually like, as you say, getting out of your own way. And I think but the most important, which is the last percentage, would be the mental, because the mental to me is what, you know, is to fight with those thoughts. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had this feeling when you're dancing, when you really get into, I know it was for me, like when I was out there on stage performing or whatever, and you close your eyes and you feel that music and you feel that pump in your heart, it's like the whole world around you just stopped. Like you just feel
Mm-hmm.
the only thing you're focused on is in that moment. You're like, if I could just stay in this moment
Mm-hmm.
forever and absorb this and realize how free the feeling is when you're on stage. And I'm sure you've done it when you've been performing, where you've been in a crowd and you catch that little kid, or you catch that person in the corner of your eye who's completely like locked in on you, and they're like mesmerized by like either the way your feet are moving, or the way your arms are moving, the way your body is moving, and they're like, "Mommy, I I want to do that," or and you just know, in that moment you touched and you connected with somebody, and know that you know what, that you're like, I've truly made a difference, even for that split second, that all the sacrifice, all the setbacks was all worth it for that one moment. So for you, like, did you ever have you know, a feeling when you started, you know, that you had, was it more for, okay, because again, some people just want to dance to make money. Some people want to dance because they just want to do it as a hobby. Some people want to dance because they want to be on TV. What was your reason behind getting into dance and looking at it as a career? And also, the second part of that question is, what does the word dance mean to you?
Um, well, obviously, when I got into dancing, I didn't have in mind like I'm not gonna say obvious because some people at a young age might be like, I want to be a dancer, but I didn't even know it was a career. Honestly, I wanted to be Britney Spears. I didn't realize she could have dancers. Like it was like a weird like thing. I just didn't know
Mm-hmm.
dance was a career, but I wanted to get into it. I can't tell you exactly why I got myself into it. It was just felt like I wanted to do it, right? As a kid, you're like, I just really want to do this. But when I would hit the stage at like 17, 18, 19, 20, at that point, I was so I was so uncertain about myself as like a regular everyday young woman that when I hit the stage, like I could be anybody and I was
Mm-hmm.
loved and I was cared for and I was free and I was confident. I was everything I wasn't as like your everyday person, in my opinion. And so when I danced, it was this alter ego, right? And I teach a lot of people this because a lot of women specifically, I'll say women because I teach, I'm going to say like 99.9% women, but you know, it's okay to feel like, I had an alter ego and I had who I was every day.
Okay.
And now who I am, they've really meshed, which is why I'm who I am on stage, in person, as your everyday person. I'm very similar. But that's why I started dancing. That's why I stayed dancing, because I was like, I feel euphoric. I feel like I'm unstoppable. And I didn't get that in my everyday life. So that's what kept me on that path. But I didn't necessarily think to myself like, okay, let me plan out my career. I just knew that I loved it more than anything, and I didn't want to stop it, like a drug. Like I was like, I'm doing this as much as humanly possible, and every opportunity I could get, I jumped for it, because it literally, like a drug, it made me feel so good. So for the first many years of my young adult life, or my adult life, performing in a professional career, that's what it was. I was chasing the feeling. I was chasing the confidence. I was chasing the self-esteem. I didn't do it to be like, you know, I'm not going to say I never had an ego in dance, but I never, people would like praise me, but I was like, yeah, okay. Like I didn't really like think like, yeah, I'm good. Cause I just didn't have that confidence or that self-esteem to believe it, but I just knew I loved it and I would do anything to get it. So with that being said, I mean, obviously as things like continued in life, I realized like dance could be a career and all these types of things. And when I asked myself, because it's a hard career, being an artist is very difficult, right? We're not in it for the money. I think we can all say that, you know? And so when I knew I wanted to do this, I had to decide, do I love it or do I like it? And when I tried to stop dancing at one point in my mid-20s, I tried to just make it a passion and not a career. And I lost myself. I wasn't myself. I wasn't happy. I didn't listen to the radio anymore because I didn't want to listen to pop music. I didn't want to be inspired. I didn't want to watch dance shows. I didn't want to hear anything about dance, you know, and I tried to make it just a passion, and I lost myself completely. And it just wasn't me. And I realized at that point, I think I was probably like 23 or so. At that point, I was like, I have to do this. Like, it's not even a choice. If I want a happy life, like, it's not even a choice. I've tried. And so those were those kind of pivotal moments where I was like, it started out as like a healthy drug for me. And then when I tried to stop it, withdrawals were not good. And so I was like, I got to do this. I got to do this, and I got to do it forever, you know?
If you hadn't taken the path down dancing, and that wasn't an option, you were to take it right off the table, what do you think you'd be doing now?
You know what I wanted to do? I actually at one point wanted to go to school to be an entertainment reporter, like on the red carpet.
I could see doing that.
Yeah, and I like had this epiphany one day too. I was at work, I was serving, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do with my life. So maybe dance is just a passion. Like excites me. And then like that idea was gone in like a day. But
why do you feel it was gone in a day?
Because I feel like I didn't love it enough. It was exciting to think about, but when I looked at like how much work I had to do and I had to do all the gossip and stuff, I was like, ew, not into it. And so it was a fun idea, but because I love being in like the limelight, I really have, regardless of how insecure I was, I really loved being on stage. And so it's funny how opposing that is. But anyway, so I would have maybe gone into journalism. I love writing. So journalism, something to do with writing and speaking, public speaking, like in that realm, or fitness. I love fitness, the world of fitness training and all that stuff. So one of those, but yeah, so on that note, so
you definitely have brought the fit into, you know, the dance world. I haven't seen anybody with a physique like yours and maintain that on a level for so long. So like, I mean, for you, like obviously, like, you know, you went on this journey and you started up your company, High Heels. Tell me about that and tell the viewers what High Heels is.
So High Heels dance, actually, I think there's a couple of people who have done high heels in this live right now. High Heels is spelled H-E-A-L-S. So High Heels dance. So it's combining high heels in the shoe dancing with mindset healing. And I started it a few months after I lost my mom in 2020. And I realized my dancing, like I was so lost with like, do I want this as a career? Like I was lost. A huge piece of me obviously was no longer here.
I'm sorry about that, by the way.
Thank you so much. And so I was really confused, and I knew I wanted to work on myself, but I wanted to dance, and I was just confused. And I thought, you know what? I don't see is like a dance related, like let's dance just for like mental health and like still the training aspect of it, but more so to like, as dancers, when I first started it, the goal was like to help dancers have a healthier mindset, female dancers. So have a healthier mindset. And I knew it would help me in turn as well with my journey of trying to heal from my mom, but also still dance. So I was like, let's just focus on helping dancers have a healthier mindset. But what it evolved into was like, it's been unimaginable. It's now turned into like group therapy, but also with the 50% dance training. So it's all online. It was created to be online. They get a dance tutorial where they learn a combo and they submit it to me for like one-on-one dance feedback. And then we also get journal prompt questions on topics like the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence, intuition, boundaries, grief, what we can grieve that we don't grieve, more than just death, right? Just different parts of ourselves, identity. Oh my gosh, so many relationships, like you name it, the topics are so deep. And we meet once a week and it's a group, like an intimate, very small, intimate group of women. And we dance in our high heels. We talk journal prompt answers, questions. It's like, so you're getting that art therapy and you're getting that mindset therapy in a way. I do put myself out there that I am not a licensed therapist. I always tell everybody like, I only speak on topics that relate to some, like my life. So only things that I can share personal experiences with. I don't talk on anything that is beyond and outside. I try to stick with only things that have like worked for me. Cause you asked me, you know, how I went from A to B in terms of not confident, dangerously, not, you know, so many problems to like who I am now. And so I just speak on topics that have helped me get through. My mom only passed away like, I don't even know what month it is. So I'm going to say like just under a year and a half ago. And the progress I made in like under a year, like surprised me, you know? But it was all of this work. So I literally combined dance training and mindset healing into this 4-week online workshop with like, we have max 10 women. That's it. So sometimes it's 5, 6, 7, 8, but so it's really intimate. I've seen changes in dancers that I've never seen when they've trained in person with me in years. More changes in the online program that I'm doing because their mindset's changing. The filters in front of their eyes are changing. The way they look at themselves, the way they believe in themselves is changing because we're talking about life topics and really working on healing ourselves and our traumas. And then in turn, their dancing is just exploding.
Well, I mean, I know in the sense, number one, like for many people, I mean, that is a good way to, you know, a good balance, I would say, for your business, because, you know, like when you're dancing, as I said, you know, I was talking before, like that freedom of feeling free. And as you said, it's like therapy, like for most people, they can use that to express. And if you're able, number one, to help people also shine light onto things, because there's a way of like what people do is where they can try to escape for a couple hours, but just like you said, like a drug. But then when the high comes down, the withdrawal, you're like, the fuck. But where if people are trying to run away and say, okay, I'm going to use dance as my therapy for a couple hours, yes, that's great. But what about afterwards? What about when you're not dancing? What are you doing in the system you want to heal yourself spiritually and mentally, and all, especially in these times? Right now, I think everyone is needing some bit of an escape, you know, from the craziness of what's happening in the world right now, you know? So like, I mean, for you in the sense, number one, like, I want to ask you, like, I mean, I know in the sense, lived on both sides and worked in both sides, from the Canadian dance scene to the American dance scene. What do you feel as a Canadian dancer has been the biggest setbacks for you as a performer? And what do you think needs to be changed in order, because I mean, I've always said, you know, like, other than my friend Tanisha Scott, who's one of the most renowned choreographers in the game, there's very few that have came out of Canada like her that's crossed over and really like done shit with the stuff, where others I've known from Canada sort of be like, okay, they got a couple of gigs in the States for a couple of years, but then like you said, they just sort of, it ends up now not like something that started off as a passion, something that started off as a job, then becomes more of an afterthought, where they're like, oh, well, I did that before 5 years ago, or I did it, you know, Canada's Next Top Dancer, whatever they had the show before, and they sort of fall off. So, and a lot of them don't get the recognition, you would say, as it is per se on the American side. What do you feel needs to be changed in order for it to progress, for the Canadian dance to start getting that recognition? And what have been your setbacks?
I don't know if I'll touch as much on like what needs to change, because I don't know. I just feel like there could be a lot of opinions about that. There is a lot of opportunity. It depends what you want to do as a dancer. Obviously, in Canada, there is opportunity. Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, I would say, are like the top 3 areas of Canada that like, you know, you could hit to like have a career, but they all offer something totally different in terms of like different provinces offer the different jobs, different artists. There's lots of movies. There's people that want to be movie dancers, that want to dance for Disney, and you can have like the most amazing career in Canada. Like there are dancers out here making it and having very successful careers. If you just want to dance for big artists, maybe dancing in Canada is not.
That's what I was meaning. Yeah, that's what I was going to touch on more.
And so the thing is like me personally, there's just a level up. There's a level of hunger, a level of push and fight, and it's not for everybody, because some people want to stick with, you know, their careers, and Canada's good for them, and they don't want the dog eat dog kind of. I mean, there is that everywhere, of course, not just like that fight and that push in the States. There's competition everywhere, but I just personally, for me, when I've trained in LA specifically, I love LA, just dance or no dance. Like I go there and I feel this energetic sense of home. But there's just a caliber out there that I feel levels me up in ways that I haven't experienced here in Canada personally. And there's incredible dancers out here. Oh my God. But when I go there, it's just different. It's different. And if any dancers that are watching this, well, like I said, like the hunger, the level up, there's a lot of people, not just from the States, not just from LA, but there's people from all around America, all around the world that go and funnel into Los Angeles, California, and they're there with a purpose, right? We're there. It's costing us a lot of money to get that visa, to move there, to live there, to fight, to work, to pay our bills. So it's a different fight, a different hunger. So I like that. I like that I go into a room and I need to level up. Why do people get personal trainers? Let's just use a quick example. We get personal trainers not because we don't know. I get personal trainers. I can go to the gym and kick my own ass, but I will pay someone to kick my ass because they will push me beyond my level of mentality, not just physical, but like mental level. So when I go to LA, I feel like I am being pushed beyond a level that I can get to when I'm here.
Well, what I like about you, what I've always liked about you, Chelsea, from the start was what made me notice you from the beginning. Because I mean, before I knew who you were, I was hearing people kept throwing that name in my ear. They're like, yo, you got to keep an eye, you got to sign this girl. And what I liked about you compared, and as you say, like, I mean, yes, there are people that are in the LA scene that from all over the world that come there. But there's coming there and being a dancer in Millennium Studios and dancing with a group and having fun, being a TikTok dancer or being a viral Instagram dancer. And then there's ones that come there to really learn and train for the art to get better, to maybe go to New York and get on Broadway and dance with still, because that to me is really where the real dance is in New York City, not in LA. And then you've got the ones like you, which is what I loved, where you came at it from a business aspect. Like there's not many people that have the talent and the business mind to understand that the industry is a business. So you could sit there, yes, going for auditions and getting your dreams crushed, or you could sit there hoping for a job and getting your dreams crushed and not paying your bills. Or you could do what Chelsea did, and you took the opportunity into your own hands to say, you know what? I'm going to create my own thing wherever I'm at, whether it's in Toronto, whether it's in Vancouver. And then if I go to LA, it's like, okay, it's sort of a two-way sword for you. You can go out there to train and get better with better dancers, which makes you a better teacher and better instructor for your business and give you a lot more credibility. Also, it gives you the opportunity to really expand and find talent that you can work with. Say, for example, to maybe do a workshop in LA and do a workshop in New York or do a workshop here where you're bringing some of the best dancers who may not, again, have the business sense, may not have the hunger, but they've got the talent to make your classes better, where if they've got 3 million followers on Instagram or whatever case may be, it puts more eyes on your business. But for you, the question I ask next is that, like, I know that, you being a beautiful woman in the industry, and the industry per se, number one, like, there's the upsides of it as a woman, there's the downsides of it as a woman. And you having a husband who's a partner, who's in the same industry, how do you feel the balance in the sense between the men in the industry are treated compared to how the women are treated in the sense of opportunities?
Oh, that's a deep question. I mean,
we do deep shit here.
I know, right? I know, and I'm someone that likes to stay like kind of away from like controversial topics, which is funny because some people like to dive nose.
That's what our show is about, man. Hot topics, unscripted.
My husband is one of them. If you're watching, or if he's watching, he loves controversial topics, loves it. The question was,
what do you feel? Do you feel that there is a difference in the sense of balance and how men are treated in opportunities in the industry compared to women?
Well, I can only speak on being out here, because the thing is I haven't dabbled in like the United States enough to speak on like how things are out there. I think opportunities are like, I believe that women get a lot more opportunities because like we can go based off look. We might not even have the talent as the dancer, but we can go strictly based off look, where guys might not have that opportunity unless they've got like, unless they're 10 for 10, like going down the list, like they've got the look, they've got the body, they've got the talent, they've got, you know what I mean? Like sometimes us women, to be quite honest, we can get opportunities based off our look.
Okay, so let's top on that. Let's top on that. Do you feel then, by saying that, not saying like that's not a true fact, because it is, but do you feel, for example, where you said, women will get those opportunities based on on their looks and less on talent? Do you feel that now is, I mean, I know for myself, the industry of dance has completely changed. Do you feel now that it's hurt the industry that way because of the fact that you have all these amazing, talented dancers, as you say, whether it be in Vancouver and Canada, who may not be as known, may not be as popular on social media, may not have a following per se, but are really skilled, really talented, really trained. But then you have somebody that goes for an audition who you, I'm sure, have gone on auditions where you're like, I'm probably better than that girl. But then again, that girl could may look a little bit what they're looking for in the sense of look, but not necessarily have the talent. Do you feel that's hurt the industry by that? Or should you feel it should be based solely on talent?
Honestly, this is the industry. What I mean by that is there is a place for everybody, physically, everybody, every level of talent, every look, everything. And if someone feels like, oh, only hot people get the jobs, well, yeah, if they're looking for a hot person, then maybe. But like the thing is there's a place for everybody. So if people are giving up on their dreams because they're not a size 2, like I had people ask me, like, if I don't look like you, will I get booked as a dancer? My answer is, fuck yes, you will. But you might not get booked for a dance for the position of 5'7", long black hair, X amount of weight, blue eyes. Like, you might not get booked for that specific stature, but there is a place for everybody. So do I believe it hurts the industry, or I believe it heightens the industry? I just believe that there's a place for everybody. And I believe, and you can hear the passion in my voice, because I've had these conversations with people of saying, well, I have to look like this. And there are jobs that, yes, it's based on look. And of course, would we sometimes wish that they would go for the talent and not just the look and sacrifice the talent? 100%. I have seen jobs where I'm like, I don't need to go into detail, but I've seen jobs like that where it was clearly based on look and not based on talent. And so there's moments that you're like, it would have been nice if it was a little bit different, but at the end of the day, like, we're not going to change it. So why fight it? Why fight the industry? Let's find our place. Let's understand what our place is, because a lot of people get bitter on this topic because they're not understanding where their place is. Jessica Castro, she's amazing. Jessica Castro is an amazing choreographer, and she said this, oh my gosh, I can't remember her exact words, so this is not like a direct quote, everybody, but she was the first person that, when I did a training session with her in Toronto, she came from New York and trained, did a workshop, and she said, there's a place for everybody, and you either have to accept that or get out of the industry. Because again, you might say, like, I want to be a tour dancer only, and you keep getting booked for Disney shows, and you're like, oh, this sucks. You know, you have to just, the industry is going to decide where you belong, and you either take it or you leave it. And of course we can make changes, right? If we don't want to accept that the industry, like I get typecasted for like sexy videos, shocker. I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, fine, right? Sometimes I wanted to do more like cute roles of this and that, but then I'm like, yeah, but Chelsea, then you would have to change your look. And so we just have to be aware of like what our look is, what our body composition is, what makes us happy, right? Does it make us happy to be the size we are? And if it does, then stick with that. And then you'll fit somewhere. You know, instead of trying to conform to like being something else, just stick with what you believe that you feel good being, size, hair color, like everything. And once you feel good and set in where you are, then there will be a place in this industry for you, but it's going to tell you where that is. The industry will tell you where you belong.
Well, I mean,
so,
yes and no, because I do believe in the sense, I mean, and again, I've been out of the game for so long in the dance world, but I know obviously like when I was dancing back in the New Kids on the Block days when I was dancing for Jordan Knight in the 90s, you had dancers and then you had video hosts. And there was a difference.
yeah.
When you got hired for a job as a dancer, you were technically found for that specific purpose. You were technical. You had creativity. The choreography was, you know, from the best ones to the shitty ones, every one of them had, even myself, we all had our own choreography style that you were hired for. Now what I find 20 years later in the game, which to me, I feel that the dance industry isn't based on where you say, you know, there's a place for everybody in the industry. There's a place for everybody to me on social media, because right now what I find compared to the dance world back then to now, there's no originality anymore. Like I'm seeing, for example, whether it be TikTok, like just take TikTok during the pandemic, it became this huge thing, but then you're seeing people doing the most minimal moves, the most minimal shit, and it's going viral, but then somebody else and somebody else and somebody else who's somebody else and somebody else imitates that same video that was gone viral, and now they're considered a great dancer. They're considered a superstar. And then I watch a lot of these bigger dancers that are on Instagram and social media. I'm not gonna give out any names, but I watch them, and don't get me wrong, these kids are technically amazing dancers. But I see the same repetitive shit every day. It's a different song, different thing. And now to me, where I look at, as I was saying before, the industry where it's not even about talent, it's not even about skill, it's not even about even opportunities, because we as a dancer, when I started, I mean, you couldn't even, it was so hard to even get in the room to meet somebody. It wasn't like, okay, you had social media to rely on or cared about followers or any of that shit. It was about, okay, if your dance was good and people heard your name, they knew your name on the street. That's how you started. It was like, I was breakdancing in New York City, in the tunnels and stuff like that, underground in the subways, breakdancing on cardboard. That's how we got known. And then now the industry where it's like, you're seeing all of these, as I said, TikTok dancers. To me, the way that I look at it, the girl that's been studying, and maybe as I said, I want you to speak on this. You've been training and dancing for so long, and you've been putting in the work, and your husband's been putting in the work. How do you feel when you know how much work and grind and how much sacrifice and how much grit you've put into learning the business, to see some kid who was never known 2 weeks ago go on TikTok, do a video, and suddenly now he's dancing in the Super Bowl, he's doing commercials, and you're like, I've been doing this shit for 20 years trying to get to this next opportunity. So speak on that.
You know what? And I've done so much work on myself to get to this place. I don't want to be bitter. And I'm not saying you're bitter or other people are bitter, but again, why fight it? Of course, I think like you see these things and you're like, yeah, we have opinions on it. And you're like, okay, so I'm going to keep fighting for my life while like, you get on Ellen. I mean, I love Ellen, bless her. But someone just gets an opportunity doing some TikTok dance and now they're famous, they're getting jobs. But at the end of the day, I'm like, why spend my energy fighting that or being like, well, fuck, that's so. I literally, I promise you, I just keep grinding. I'm going to get where I'm going, however I need to get there and wherever I'm going. At the end of the day, there's always going to be something that's kind of pulling us back. Another challenge comes in, there's going to be a new TikTok with a new batch of millennials or whatever they're going to be called after us or before us or whatever. There's always going to be something. So it's like, why fight it? Why be bitter? Why put our energy there? Why even, to me, like, other than this conversation, like, why even talk about it? Like, it's one of those things that I'm like, hey, good for them. They're putting in the energy. I could get my visa. If I became a TikTok dancer, I could get a visa to the United States to be a TikTok dancer. I laughed so hard when I was told that. I was like, fuck TikTok. But it's just, but that's great. If people are figuring it out, they're figuring it out. And at the end of the day, I'm going to keep my hustle going. I didn't come this far to only come this far, Jersey Shore freaking, like the situation quote. But, well, I'm sure it came from someone else. But regardless, I didn't come this far to then start to open up and now worry about TikTokers or whatever, whomever and whatever they're doing, copying routines and being unoriginal or being original. Some people create their own TikTok dances and they get Insta famous or TikTok famous from that. Like, that's all cool. People are finding their ways. I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna be aware of it, because if I'm aware of it, I might have a place in it. If I feel like I resonate with somewhere along the way, a new app, a new TikTok, and I feel like I might have a place, maybe I'll go that direction. So I'm not putting blinders up to it completely and being like, I'm going to ignore it. That would be silly of me, because the world is changing, right? So I'm aware of it. I watch, I see. But if I don't resonate with it, I'm going to just keep my fight going in the best ways that I know how, and just be aware of the changes. And yeah, of course, if you work really hard and a TikToker walks in who just started dancing yesterday and gets the audition, you're kind of like, well, fuck me, right? But at the same time, I guess I got to just keep working hard. Like,
so that brings my next question. Like, I mean, I know, of course, you have a very sexy, as I said, bravado and how you perform and your dances and your costumes. And I know there's a lot of thought process that goes into that. For you, like, do you ever have to deal with people, for example, and again, the quote unquote, maybe haters of the world, where they pay less attention to your dance talent and more focus on the sexy part of it? And do you ever feel that there's a point for, because I've heard this before, where, people who don't understand the world of dance, may say that's too sexy, or you're putting yourself out there in a way that's not representing the dance world in the right way, or a positive way, or a way that, number one, that is more traditional? Like, what do you say to those people?
A quote, and I quote, because I tell this to everybody I possibly can. People will give you advice based on their own life experiences. So at the end of the day, I'm shaking my ass in fishnets and a thong. I expect people to say something. Sex sells. We're humans. We see sexy things and we like it. Like, that's okay. That's one reason. The reason I dance the style I do is because, first and foremost, I feel fucking good. Whether people look or not, like, you can tell when I dance this style that you're like, this bitch is in it to win it. And it's because it makes me feel good. I'm not doing it for nobody else. First, it's me. If I want to wear a thong, I wear a thong. If I want to wear a sweatsuit, I wear a sweatsuit. So first, I do it for me. Second, I hope people look. I hope people like it. Third, if someone thinks it's too sexy, that's according to you, so that's okay. If someone thinks it's derogative or disrespectful to my body, well, that's according to you, so that's okay. If anybody wants to think anything, by all means. When I wear a sweatsuit, I still get honked at on the street. When I wear, like, I could be wearing fishnets and you'll get honked at on the street. Like, and not just me, it's just women in general. Like, we can't, first and foremost, if we're just doing what feels good for us, that's it. The rest is history. So for anybody who says I'm too one way or I'm too another, or I'm not this or I'm not that, I guarantee you that's coming from their own life experiences of what they wouldn't do or would do, of maybe traumas that they haven't healed, of opinions that were put on them as children by somebody else, of, you know, and again, so if you don't like what I'm doing, then good thing you're not doing it.
Do you ever feel though, because I mean, as you know, I mean, we come from an era now where everything now in this era is like offensive and PG-13 and, oh my God, you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't push the envelope. And I've always said, like, as an artist, that's your job. Like, that's your job to push the envelope, because when you look at the most monumental pieces in the world that we're still talking about today, the most controversial, the Mona Lisa. We're always talking about the Mona Lisa picture. Michelangelo with his dick hanging out. We're always talking about that when we see it. Like, and I tell people, like, you can either blend in or you can stand out. And to me, as I said, like, what made you stand out? Because I was like, she is the Canadian pussy doll, you know, pussy doll, you know, version of Canada, because you had this sort of sex appeal that made it, which again, like the industry, like, you know, Nicole Sturgeon and the whole group, they had their phase, but then it started to phase out. And then the sexiness was like, oh, we don't, that's too sexy. It's too, we got to go, you know, taboo now. We got to go PG-13. And then there was you that was still going, you can stay over there, then I'll just take that shit over. I'll keep the train, keep moving and keep going. Was that something that you always vision yourself going down that sexy route? Like, was it always some, or was it more where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with my own skin. This is what this is my direction. And also, do you ever feel that, like, there is a point where it's, for the industry as a dancer, it's too over-sexualized?
Sex sells, baby.
Yes, it does.
Honestly. And you know what? I do what feels good for me. And I've done that. And some days, there was a point in my life where I was always wearing like leggings and certain things. You wouldn't really see me in fishnets. But I've always just felt better in the sexy style. As a kid, I would wear my mother's lingerie. There's photos of me in her heels when I'm 8 years old. Like, there was something in me that said, I want to wear these things. I want to show my body in these ways. And that, as long as I stay true to myself, then to me, nothing else matters. So, you know, some people say, like, oh, I'm too old, or I'm this. And I was like, I plan to be a mother and be rocking my fishnets if that's what feels good for me, not based on anybody else's terms. And I think maybe that's what separates me. I don't know. But all I know is when I do something, I do it because I purely feel so connected to it. And if that is me topless on Instagram, then that is me topless on Instagram. If that is me shaking my ass or doing it, or touching, feeling, hair, whatever that is, people that follow me, at least, or the students, the women that I teach, know that I'm doing it first and foremost because it makes me feel really fucking good and empowered and confident, and my self-esteem has, like, just grown. And it's not because I have people complimenting me. Those are amazing. Those are like little, like, sprinkles on top of what I do. But the core of why I do what I do in this sexy world is because it makes me feel me. You know, and that's it. And I feel like that's the truest thing. And, like, I have women who say, like, I really want to wear fishnets, but I don't know if it's too, and I'm like, does it excite you? Do you really, like, would you love to put this outfit on? Well, yeah, but fuck the butt. Don't fuck the butt. You know what I mean? But, like, screw that. Do it. Then fucking do it. You know? And at the end of the day, we only have this one life. So, I mean, when it comes to be over-sexualized or XYZ, I do understand that there are job opportunities that I will not get because when they go to my Instagram, they're going to be like, maybe not, right? Because Instagram is like a resume. So I do understand that I've probably lost jobs or agencies who are like, you're too sexual, or you're, you know, but if then that means that's not my home. You know what I mean? There's going to be an agency or an agent or a network of people who follow me for whatever reason is their own, doesn't matter to me, but that follow me because of what I do and because I love what I do.
No, man, listen, man, it was a main reason I told you when I reached out. I was like, yo, you'd be great on our roster, because I think, like, what, to me, in the sense, and it's not a diss per se, number one, to certain